Good night and welcome to the season finale of Tech Talk. I'm your guest host, Andre Pitts. For the past 2 months, we have pulled tech specialists from their classrooms, production plants, farms, IT labs, and companies to give you a greater understanding of Belize's technological infrastructure and advancements. We've learned about technology in government, in the private sector, and even about technology that can transform your home. Belizean firms and our government have shown that they do not intend to be left out or left behind when it comes to utilizing technology to further profits and national development, and our young people have demonstrated high proficiency in technology, truly marking the fact that they are digital natives. To ensure that our country continues to benefit instead of being harmed by technology, we have entities such as the Public Utilities Commission working hard to safeguard our institutions and personal devices from cyber mischief. To learn more about cybersecurity and to mark Day 1 of Cybersecurity Month, we welcome back the PUC for a third time for even more exciting Tech Talk. Joining us for the first portion of BizTech are Mr. John Avery, the chairman of the PUC, and Ms. Nicole Haylock, Deputy Coordinator at the National Security Council. Welcome to the show.
Good night, Andre. And good night to all our viewers on TV land and people streaming us live on the internet.
So at the end of our last show, we began discussing cybersecurity, what it is and what threats Belize faces. Today we want to hear more about what Belize is doing and plans to mitigate further threats. So, Chairman, I'd love if you could tell us a bit about the Cybersecurity Task Force, what it is and why it exists.
Okay, Andre. The Cybersecurity Task Force is a combination of stakeholders from various sectors of society who have volunteered to be members of the task force. And the objective is to further cybersecurity mitigation and protection in Belize. The task force itself started out of an idea of the PUC. We had hosted a Caribbean Internet Governance Forum a few years back, and we realized that the conversations that we had at that forum, we needed to have those conversations locally. And it was at that forum we committed to host what we at the time thought would be the first national internet governance forum for Belize. In between that and when we held that symposium, we had discussed with some international partners that we normally work with, Caribnog, the Internet Society, ICANN, a lot of different internet-based groups that try to assist in the development of the internet. And the idea grew to this national symposium we had in 2017. Our thought at the time was we needed to get stakeholders from all over the country, make them aware of the threats and the issues that are out there, and what can be done immediately and long term to deal with those issues. We realized that the internet has been developed using a multi-stakeholder model for the last 30 years, and we felt it would only be appropriate that we did the same with that symposium. We at the PUC had always felt that national security really should be the lead body in the country to take on this whole cybersecurity issue because of the wide-ranging implications that we face now. And so our first move when we had that symposium was to contact the National Security Council Secretariat and started our first partnership with them. Nicole was very receptive to the idea. And in fact, at the time, I think they were working with the OS, trying to get a similar movement started in Belize, but they weren't able to get the momentum and the traction that they really desired.
So I guess that is where the PUC came in.
Yes, and so since the PUC had undertaken this massive symposium, and we were able to get so many people together, the idea came up that perhaps then we should incorporate this project that the Security Council and the OAS had been working on. And so the last day of that symposium, in the afternoon, we had a meeting. We invited all the stakeholders who wanted to continue participate on the task force. And it was at that stage that we incorporated along with the OAS, and we started we decided to have a formal task force.
Okay.
And to set up a few meetings so that we could devise a strategy how we would capitalize on the momentum we had from that symposium, no? And then over time, it was Colonel Lovell, CEO Colonel Lovell, who suggested that perhaps to get the best out of the effort we were undertaking, that we need to develop a strategy that would perhaps lead to a national policy and for adaptation across all sectors, no?
Okay.
Up to that stage, PUC had been playing a leadership role in the task force and everything. And it was at that stage we decided, you know what, it is time that we step back, continue to give our full support, but we felt it was at that time that the National Security, Ministry of National Security, with this National Security Council Secretariat, that they take the lead in the task force, no? And they continue their work with the OAS. And we've had several meetings leading up to a retreat we had in July.
Okay.
And it was all at that July retreat, we came up with what we would call a first draft strategic plan, no?
Okay.
Coming out of the task force, addressing several focus areas, and what are the steps and the things we need to put in place to address the issues for each of those focus areas.
Okay, and so before we get into that draft strategic plan, Ms. Silak, I'd love to hear from you what your involvement is in all of this.
Well, thanks to the overview, Chairman. When the symposium took place, it was a saving grace for us because, as he mentioned, you know, the resources that it took to pull off such an event was, you know, very demanding. So the National Security Council Secretariat is the policy advisory group to the National Security Council within the Ministry of National Security. So we agreed that, you know, we should play an important role in the process. So the task force became somewhat of part of our mandate, and CEO Lovell became the champion, you know, the face to push this initiative. The interinstitutional task force, as the chairman mentioned, is based on the principle of public-private partnership, which is essential within cybersecurity and cybersecurity governance. So the role that we play, as he mentioned, is to coordinate the activities of the task force. We have an action plan, and the action plan is based on the outputs of the symposium. And one of the priorities, as he mentioned, is to get the strategy done. We want the strategy in place because it will be our guiding principle or guiding path for the country moving towards cybersecurity. We want the strategy, our first draft or our first increment of the strategy to be one that's very straightforward, something that is doable, something that we can actually achieve within 2 to 3 years. We don't want it to just be another document. And what we're doing is simultaneously implementing some of the action plan outlined in the strategy. So while we're writing and getting our thoughts together, we're actually implementing.
Okay.
And so that's how it goes.
And so along this process, would you say that our internet service providers and the government have shown willingness to contribute human and fiscal capital to make this come to fruition?
Well, I'll tell you, the thing is, when we were looking at establishing a task force, we realized that there are several authorities, several institutions that have a legal or other mandate for cybersecurity. The PUC role, like I said in the last show, we see it as a quality of service issue for the internet service providers, no? They're offering internet service, they must also offer it with enough security. Again, national security, they have national security to be concerned about. And
Which is encompassing of everything.
people look at national security and think it's just about defense and war and that sort of thing, but
Not just a tangible
all of
security
our
mechanisms.
important critical assets and infrastructure need to be protected all the time. No? So we looked at people who had a legal or other mandate to be involved, and then we tried to encourage those that have a vested interest, but not necessarily a legal or professional mandate to do it. And so basically the task force over time, we don't have full participation at every meeting, but over time, the task force membership has included the Ministry of National Security, the National Security Council Secretariat, the government central IT office, Central Bank is involved representing the banking sector. We've had Belize Telemedia involved, SpeedNet involved, the Belize Police Department, the Belize Association of ICT Professionals, Belize Port Authority, Cross Design Group, the AG Ministry. We've even had participation and contribution from the judiciary. SpeedNet, as I say, has involved the Chamber of Commerce, the Bar
Pretty much
Association.
all the important stakeholders are involved in this.
Belize Defense Force now. One key partner that we need to be more aggressive in recruiting is the Ministry of Education, because we believe they have a very important role to play in the public awareness.
Sensitizing.
Public education.
Because the task force and the strategy basically has identified several areas of focus. And we have different groupings working on each of those areas of focus now. And of course, public awareness and education is a key factor, particularly for individuals out there. And so we feel that Ministry of Education needs to be a more profound.
What I like to add is that I'm impressed by the task force, because we've been going at it since 2017, and the momentum, the key people show up.
So they're
Consistently.
committed
They're
to this.
committed. The public-private partnership, I think, is really a good model here. The task force, we have our working group, we have our email, we really vibe. And it's a cohesive group that wants to move forward with the action plan and the strategic pillars that I'm going to talk about in a few. So the task force, we have been accused of not being more public, working behind the scenes. But one of the things that we want to do as a part of the governance structure for cybersecurity is to institutionalize this task force so that it can exist over different administration. So that's a part of the plan that we're working on. But this is a good group, it's a solid group. I think it's representative of a lot of the stakeholders that we need to have involved in cybersecurity. We can't have everybody, but it's a core, solid group.
And so when it comes to the draft strategic plan, what are the main pillars and what are the next steps now that we have this draft strategic plan?
Okay, so the OAS has been really instrumental in helping us develop this strategy. They have done a lot of work within the region on this, and we identified three main focus. First and foremost, the legislative framework, which is a challenge, and you've heard it on the media. Where is the cyber legislation? But the thing is, cybersecurity is a broad,
It's vast.
It's really a lot. We have cyber security, and we have cyber crime, we have cyber bullying, which is one type of cyber crime. And the legislative framework has to be one that balances the aspect of security and as well as the interest of having an open, free internet.
So there's a delicate balance that
It
has
is
to
a
be
delicate
met.
balance that you have to cater to the users, the providers, critical infrastructure. So the legislative part of it it can be complicated and it can be very simple. I think in another part we will talk about that, but the legislative framework is a challenge, but we're working on it. There is work happening in case people are wondering. Then the second pillar is public awareness and public education. And we are currently working on developing a public awareness campaign in collaboration with Human Development and the Office of the Special Envoy to focus on vulnerable groups like women and children and elderly population. So there's a campaign that's in the work for that. And then lastly, the third strategic pillar is incident response.
Okay.
Who do you call if you are a victim of cybercrime? The police, CITO, who do you call? So we want to develop a national CERT, which is a national incident response team that will first focus on responding to incidences for the government or for public entities. And then we also simultaneously want to develop the capacity of the police to respond to cybercrime. So that's the three strategic pillars that we're focusing on.
Okay, and so is there any type of time frame in mind where this strategic plan can move towards a formal final plan that can be implemented and handed over to the government?
Right now we're starting the consultation part, where we are reaching out to much of the stakeholders mentioned by the chairman and the public to look at the first draft. After the consultation period, we will have our hopefully final draft and to launch maybe November. When do we launch?
That is kind of optimistic. These consultations and revisions usually take a little time, so
But it's on the horizon.
I would say within 3 to 4 months.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. But one of the things you need to understand here too is that cybersecurity, with this strategic plan, whatever, cybersecurity is something that you have to do. There's no document or no thing that will just end cybersecurity issues.
There's a personal onus on the individual user to protect themselves.
And I think that is part of what keeps the task force together. This thing is a voluntary thing. There are people who see the importance of it and want to do something about it. And I think that is why we've gotten the type of participation we have gotten. Just as a little housekeeping, I don't want to forget it, apart from the contributions we've had from the Organization of American States, the UK government, through Global Partners Digital, has also been contributing recently, and have extended other offers for further contributions as we move forward now.
So there's a healthy collage of people collaborating to make this become a reality.
There's lots of support in the region. You know, we just came back from the cybersecurity symposium in Chile. And, you know, Latin America and the Caribbean have created networks where, you know, there are groups of people and organizations, both public and private, that are willing and able to help us, you know, to come and do an assessment of our vulnerabilities, to guide us. You know, the region is doing really well with the support of many partners, international partners, and, you know, there's a lot to learn. And at this stage, it's good for us because we can know what to do and what not to do. But the thing is, which was highlighted at the symposium, is that cybersecurity is rapidly evolving. It can no longer be a footnote or an annex. It has to be integrated in policy and business, economics, social organization, government. It has to be integrated and not an afterthought or a subtopic, you know. So it's really important that, you know, we continue to dialogue but take action.
Important to take action at every level.
I'd just like to mention there that it's really important to have international partners because a big part of response is international cooperation. As we may see later in the show, cyber attacks don't only originate from a neighborhood. They originate from all parts of the world. Cybercrime is can be committed on you here in Belize from China, Russia, wherever. And I don't want to be single out China and Russia, but from wherever, no? And so you need this international cooperation, you need partnerships around the world in order to address some of those issues. So it's a huge undertaking. And like I say, it's important that every individual understand that at the end of the day, you are responsible for your security. I mean, someone can have all the best security on the network, and if you're on that person's network and introducing all kind of viruses and things on the network, eventually it will create some problems. No? So There is
what
nothing that will
complicated.
solve cybersecurity issues for you. You have to constantly be working on it, and you have to take personal responsibility for your safety and for the safety of others too.
And so I really believe that the entire task force should be commended because as concerning as cyber threats are, it's good to know that there are things that you can do personally and that there are organizations doing their part to make us secure in the cyber arena. And with that, we're at the end of this first segment of BizTech. And so I'd like to thank you both for appearing tonight and letting us know about cybersecurity.
Okay, thank you, Andre.
Good. And so viewers, kindly stay tuned because we're going for our first commercial break for the night, but we will be right back. Really good stuff. Yes, the time fly.
Tech Talk is brought to you by the Public Utilities Commission.
Take a journey with us to endless possibilities. Our future as a country is now. DigiNet Boost is countrywide. Taking Belize into the future. A nationwide technological evolution. As the most advanced fiber connection, DigiNet Boost is a step forward into a modern world. Belize is powered by DigiNet. DigiNet Boost, now available countrywide.
I remember when we had to leave the house at 6 a.m. so the kids can make it to school on time. Those long lines in the morning on the narrow, busy highway were always a nightmare. But now that we have this upgraded highway to Ladyville, driving is actually a treat. We can leave our house later, drive with a peace of mind, reach our destination safely, and it takes very little time. Yes, progress does bring inconvenience, but at the end of it, I'm grateful for the development happening around the country. And I'm sure thousands of other Belizeans who travel along that stretch of the highway will say the same.
More for Belizeans, more for Belize. The government of Belize, moving Belize forward.
This is what we do.
It's more or less 10 grams or less.
It's that special time again. Bex o'clock.
We are changing the name of this day to wet t-shirt competition.
Eating too much salt can also increase your blood pressure, and nobody needs that.
Good night and welcome back to the season finale of Tech Talk. I'm your host for tonight, Andre Pitts. Before we continue with our BizTech discussions, let's take a look at this week's tech news, for which I had the opportunity to speak with an edutech firm in Belize. Good night, I'm Andre Pitts, and for tonight's tech news, we're joined by Ms. Kay Menzies of Socias, who has exciting news to share about a new e-commerce platform that they're introducing in Belize.
Thank you for inviting me on, Andre. Yes, we are introducing an e-commerce marketplace where people will be able to sell their goods. This is distributors or producers who are producing products that go on shelves normally will be able to go online, and basically it'll be a marketplace for everything and everyone. And we will be able to shoppers will be able to shop online and make their purchases, make their payments, have everything shipped, and we made it as easy as we could. That was basically the nutshell, is that BelizeOn.bz is your online e-commerce shopping marketplace.
Very good. And when you say online, will that be limited to using a computer to access it online, or can users use their cell phones and tablets to access?
Well, that's the good news. Our apps are already up in both Android and iOS app stores, so people can search for Belize On, download the apps for free, and begin shopping as soon as we launch.
Great. And for vendors who may be interested, is it also free for them to feature their products and services?
There is a small cost. We tried to keep it as small as possible. The idea being that the vendors do well, and if everybody shops a lot, then we also hopefully do well along the way. But we tried to keep the charges as small as possible in order to help people just get their products out there.
Great. And so we see a lot of people trying to sell things online, and there's always two difficulties: paying, receiving your money, and also shipping. How do you receive your package? Do you have to go for it yourself? So how does Belize On address those two challenges that most other people face?
Well, we have the standard, most places here use a bank deposit option, and we have that. If you want, you can walk into any bank or any Western Union and make your payment. Just give them your invoice number and pay your amount, and that's that. Your goods are shipped from there. Or if you have a bank account that you can deal electronically, you can make an electronic deposit. And again, your goods are shipped as soon as the payment is confirmed. Or, and this is what we'd like to introduce tonight, we have introduced gift cards.
Great.
So if, for example, you want to be able to purchase straight away and move the purchase a little bit faster than maybe a bank deposit that takes a couple days to process, you can purchase your gift card. We have in increments of $50, $75, $100, and $200.
Well, this already sounds very exciting. And so what are the different ways and the different places that people can purchase this card?
Well, you can purchase it via the website itself. The e-commerce platform has very clearly, you can search for the card, and the card will pop up in there. And aside from that, if you want to purchase your hard card or give a card to somebody as a gift, either way, you can purchase it at a Western Union, any Western Union, or several of our vendors are also offering it for sale for obvious reasons. And we will announce by Facebook who those are when the time comes. At the moment, I have to say one of the parent companies is Carl H. Menzies, which turns 50 this month. And so for its 50th anniversary, we wanted to show that it's young again. So Carl H. Menzies has very much supported this site, and that includes having the gift cards available for sale there for the e-commerce marketplace.
And can you also purchase by making an online deposit directly to the company and then getting a digital code?
Yeah, you can make an online deposit. When you go through the procedure on the marketplace, you'll be guided as to how to make the deposit. But you can make a bank transfer, or you can make a deposit, or pay to Western Union. Any which way you want is all available.
So you have options, and you don't even have to leave your house to purchase it.
You don't even have to get off your couch.
Excellent. Well, this is certainly exciting news for Belize, and I would dare say also disruptive. Is there anything else that SOCIAS is up to in Belize in this new tech economy?
Well, we like new, and this is very exciting for us, this new company, SOCIAS Limited. We are a digital solutions company, so we're working on quite a few projects. We're working on a couple of websites. We're working on digital solutions from outside the country as well for clients in New Zealand and Boston, in other countries. But the big excitement for us is Belize On. This is the work that we've been putting in most of the time, and we're looking forward to the way that it will serve the Belizean public, because it'll help people to sell their goods, it'll help people to shop more easily as well.
Okay, and if people want more information about Belize On or Socias, how can they contact you?
Well, we're on Facebook, we're on Snapchat, we're on, I'm not saying Twitter, we're not on Twitter. We're on social media throughout, and you can also contact us at belizeon@carlmenses.com.
Okay.
As well as just giving us a shout out, those of you who know those of us, in various ways. So go online, there's a chat function as well when you download the app on Android or iOS.
Excellent.
Either one, there is a chat function, so you can
Excellent.
chat directly with the developers and the e-commerce manager. And if you want to sell your products, get in touch with us. If you want to know when to buy, we will make an announcement through the app when we're ready for you to shop, and that should be very, very soon. So.
Okay, well, great. This is very exciting, and I could see we have a much more prosperous e-commerce environment in Belize now, thanks to Belize On when this is fully operational. So I look forward to that.
Well, we will try and continue, as Socias Limited, we'll try and continue to make life easier for everybody as much as we can.
Okay, great. So viewers, thank you for tuning in to tonight's Tech News, and that's it for season 1 of Tech News. Thank you. Like I told Ms. Menzies, this is truly exciting. E-commerce in Belize is picking up wind and can present great opportunities for our country. I'm certain that we can only expect a positive impact on our economy as a result. And now back to Tech Talk. Earlier in BizTech, we discussed cybersecurity from a policy point of view. We are now joined by Bruce Flowers from CITO and Mr. Etienne Sharp, a consultant with the PUC, to get into more of the practical angle of cybersecurity. So gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
So earlier we heard from the chairman and Ms. Haylock from the National Security Council about the strategic plan to deal with cybersecurity. But just for the benefit of our viewers, can one of you really explain to us what cybersecurity is and the practical challenges and threats that we face?
You want to start? Sorry, I can start. So, cybersecurity is a very all-encompassing sort of word. So when you see it, there's a lot to encompass. So the target market we have right now is our public. So let's take it from that point of view, which is, I think, John as well as Ms. Haylock pointed out that a lot of what we do at the moment is not only trying to change parts of government to make things very viable, but very much so on the educational side of things, whether it be schools, all out there from MOE,
Okay.
from government, from PUC, but to basically empower people with knowledge of the counter of it, which is cybercrime.
Okay.
And it's something that's very, very active everywhere in the world.
Okay.
So when we say cybersecurity, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. If you talk to the layman on the street who maybe only can afford a phone and that's his contact with the rest of the world, that's his contact with, it's about security on his phone, or he's got two-factor security with every single account he has, things like that. If you look at a second layer, the providers in the country who are empowered to, all the traffic passes through them to the rest of the world. So we're talking about internet service providers. They have a separate layer of responsibility to try to ensure that their customers are safe. And then you have probably more overriding one, which is more governmental, policy-based, that kind of drives everything else down the way.
So you would say that cybersecurity, in a nutshell, would refer to measures and systems in place to kind of mitigate threats and cybercrimes?
Yes.
Okay. And so can you share examples of cybersecurity threats that many people experience on a daily basis or are likely to come in contact with?
Okay, yeah, sure. There are two types of cybersecurity threats. You have external threats, which are threats from the outside. Also, you have internal threats, right? Example of threats from the external is denial of service attack. which are bots that just is scanning the network to try to gain access to the network. Also, there's other attacks, like, for example, phishing attack. It's like social engineering where it's pretty much target to find information about the network, which are weakness of the network in order to gain access to the network. Internal threats is one of the biggest threats right now because it is the weakness inside of our organization. You know, insider threats is like any employees that is in the network, they know the ins and out of a network, you know, and one of the ways how we could avoid is that cyber security awareness. But that's just some of the threats.
Okay.
Have any more?
Yeah, I mean, everything from weird numbers calling your phone and then eating up your credit, weird text messages saying, please click on this link, and then soliciting information. These are all cyber threats. And the fact that we're connected to the rest of the world, not through only the internet, but through any form of communications, is sort of a face to a threat. Recently in the news, you've had people from foreign countries coming in what we call skimming cards at banks and stuff like that. So Belize is not immune to these things. We've seen it on a large and small basis. Ransomware, whether firms would like to say it or not, very, very effective by hackers to gain money out of people. And that is where people basically allow their computer to be compromised, their files are encrypted, and then they get sent an email saying, hey, pay if you want your information back. And
are those common in Belize, those type of?
They're not very, very common, but I mean, it happens everywhere. I mean, it's happened to the NHS in the UK, for example, which was very embarrassing.
So you can't be too big or too small?
No. People think, and in a lot of ways, Belize, having been exposed to a bit of what's happening in the region, Belize is really ahead of the game. And that's really thanks to a few former-minded thinking people, including John Avery, the head of the PUC, who's pretty much spearheaded along with the rest of the commission to try to push forward and really push why we need to, as a country and as a people, really look at cybersecurity as a serious threat from a personal point of view. You know.
And well, I was very happy to hear some of the work coming out of the draft strategic plan.
Yes.
Are there other bodies independent of the PUC and the stakeholders involved who are taking an active role in promoting cybersecurity and doing their part to contribute to legislation or to set up infrastructure that could protect people and protect the country and our important institutions?
Well, yes. When it comes to the Central Information Technology Office, we have a mandate to help assist with the draft instruction for the legislation to assist AGM to come up with that. Apart from that, within our network, which we have many public servants, we try to do daily cyber awareness tips through emails. Like tips could say, beware of the URL before clicking on it. Be cautious of the environment. Don't leave your password out in the open.
So you have an internal awareness campaign going on within the public sector.
Yeah. Because the Central Information Technology Office is migrating most of the departments into one centralized unit.
Okay. So for the majority of us who are exposed to technology and are into technology, we could kind of identify some threats from a mile away, like a fishy PayPal email. Would you say that the majority of people are aware of the common threats or are unaware of the common threats from your experience?
I would say majority is maybe not aware, but it's to create awareness in order to make them aware. I believe even with even the rural areas, like maybe Punta Gorda, those places where they don't have internet access, even though they don't have access to the internet, they should be aware of cybersecurity threats, because as Belize evolve, we're going into that digital era.
Everyone is coming online. So.
Yes, so we're not right now in the digital era, but eventually we will be there in the digital era.
I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with you that we are not in the digital era.
Yeah.
And for you, Etienne, from your experience, do you think enough people are sensitive to the basic things they can do to protect themselves from these type of threats, or that they are unaware?
Yeah, I tend to think that, yes, we're still very, very much very, I wouldn't even say people are not aware. Often they're aware, but they're a bit nonchalant towards security until a problem happens. Their phone gets locked, they don't know why, they can't have access to it, and all of a sudden somebody has access to their sensitive information. So it's something I think that we're very reactive to, but again, need to become more proactive. Again, I think cybersecurity is just like security in your home. If you decide to leave your gate open, your house open, walk away, no dogs, somebody's going to come in and rob you. If you have a gate security, alarm, cameras, you have a different deterrent. So, and it's the same out there. It's just the difference is that with your personal security, you have to worry about people just around you. With cybersecurity, you have to worry about everybody in the whole world, and that's a few people. Yeah. So there's the actual the threat, what we call the threat matrix or the threat arena. It's huge outcoming into Belize, and a lot of these threats come out of the usual suspects, China, Asia, and different areas, and directed at whichever country they feel
is vulnerable.
And I mentioned before about the sort of medium, the medium sort of fortification is the networks that connect to the rest of the world. And that's where the PUC very, very, very rightly is very, very interested, because their mandate is to make sure that telecom, which is one of their big sectors, is secure. Correct. So that's where network providers who have connectivity to the rest of the world, smaller providers internal to Belize have, yes, they still have a level, but they connect through somebody else.
Yeah,
when you're a BTL, a smart, a broadband.
So they benefit from their
Correct.
measures. Okay.
Yeah. And in general, I mean, you asked a question before about international. The OAS has been very, 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 very helpful to us as Belize, and we have other partners as well. John mentioned Carib, Nog, and different. Even the Belize in the exchange point affords us a level of security in terms of. So I think cybersecurity is something that each of us needs to mean something to each of us, just like personal security does. It's no use you having the best security for your car, your house, or whatever, having no security on your phone, given the idea that how much time,
has access to everything you're into.
How much personal information we aggregate there, how much time we spend. And people say, I asked many people, said, so what's the antivirus or what's the mitigation threat on your phone? They go, huh? What's that? So yeah, people need to be aware, just like you have an antivirus on your laptop or your home computer, you need to have something on your phone that gives you some level of security. Okay,
so one of the things that I've heard about is the critical infrastructure protection. What exactly is that, and what is its relation to Belize's cybersecurity arsenal?
Okay, the critical infrastructure protection is pretty much vital resources to the country, right? It could be either food, it could be the healthcare system, it could be transportation. Yeah. These are things that you use in your daily life, which is very critical, right? Our nation has a responsibility to protect these infrastructure against natural disasters, terrorist attacks, and also now cyber attacks, right? Yeah. Example of critical infrastructure would be the telecommunication, right? Our network operators, the ones that is in charge of communication in order to reach outside. We have the defense-based sector, which is the Belize Defense Force, We have the emergency service sector, which is the fire department. If you have an incident and your house is burned down, you need that service, right? Yeah. We also have the energy sector, right? Which is the BCO, You have the financial sectors, which are the banks, right?
Exactly.
They hold all the money. You also have the healthcare part and the hospitals. You have the water service, right? BWS. And also you have the Information Technology Center that holds data, sensitive information for the public. And also, again, the transportation systems that people use daily, right? So those are just some of the critical infrastructure that we use, you know, and think about it. If you are, your family is in a situation where they are dying, right? And you're in an emergency and you have to reach a hospital in, let's say, an hour, and you reach a hospital and they get hit with a cyber security threat. They can't find information, they can't find the blood type of that person, you know. You only have, in some cases, you only have a couple hours to live, you know. What will happen then?
So it's very important that these critical entities are always online.
Yes, it's very critical. And even the transport system, well, here we are not very inclined to the transport system to be digital as yet, but other places rely on the IT of the transport system, you know. And nowadays we have Internet of Things, which is machines, computers, technology communicate with each other without
smart home and all of that good stuff.
Without human interactions, you know. And if those technology get breached, what will happen? You have the transport services that transport a lot of people. What will happen then if they get hacked?
So I agree, very important stuff. And so going back to what something Etienne said earlier, some of these cyber mischief makers from across the oceans, they like to target the smaller, vulnerable countries. And so that is concerning for Belize. So again, I'm sure for the viewers at home and for me, I'm happy to know all that we are doing to protect our presence in this big arena. And so I'd like to thank you both for all the information that you shared today. And I'm sure our viewers are also appreciative. So thank you for being here.
One more.
Huh? You sorry?
No, I had one more topic.
Sure, you could quickly share.
Yes, I just wanted to touch on the response mechanism to deal with cyber attack. You know, earlier they mentioned about the CSIRT, which is Computer Security Incident Response Team, right? Their responsibility is to prevent, manage, coordinate computer security events and also incidents, right? With the CSIRT, they're good having each sector. They should have a CSIRT in the law enforcement. The law enforcement should have a CSIRT with the police department. There should be, their purpose is to prosecute cyber incidents, right? You could have the government CERT, which may be involved in cybersecurity awareness training and incident handling. And then you have the financial CERT that deals with incidents related to the banking sector, right? And from there, what we have or what we want to do in the main strategy is to have a national CSIRT where all those sub-CERTs report to the national CSIRT. The national CSIRT would act as a national level to respond to cybersecurity incidents for all the critical infrastructure in Belize.
But so that would be the overarching body.
Yes.
Okay, good.
But one important thing that I wanted to leave here is that the banking sector is pretty much private. The government sector is the government. And even you have the civil society. Like when we have this consultation, we also include the civil society in our topic because cybersecurity is not only for the government, it's not only for the private, it's for the civil society, people who use technology daily. And one thing with this is that having this national CSIRT and the different CSIRT is reporting to that national CSIRT, information sharing needs to be done. You know, and at the end of the day, with this national CSIRT, is that we're fighting against cybersecurity incidents as a country, not as independent
Instead of staggered
body.
groups, and then it's less effective that way.
Yeah.
Good.
So like I said, the CSIRT is an initiative we're pushing for, and it's something that we really need to respond to cybersecurity incidents and also to cybersecurity crime.
Well, the benefits of that appear to be very clear to me, so I'm sure that you will have success with CITO and pushing for that. And so again, thank you both, Etienne and Bruce, for contributing all your knowledge here on Tech Talk tonight.
Thank you, Andrew.
And viewers, kindly stand by as we go for our second short commercial break. We will be right back.
Tech Talk is brought to you by the Public Utilities Commission.
It's 2019, and I'm happy to deliver the news that as a Belizean, this is the year your life becomes so much easier. My name is Corey, and I started the Belize Writing Firm with the intent to change the way we think about sharing and presenting ideas. As the world continues to generate new and advanced ways to communicate, I've discovered the importance of offering Belizeans a service that will help to keep us relevant and efficient. BWF offers content creation, content editing, and consultations to provide you with a wholesome writing service. I aspire to create a team that acts as an extension of your marketing departments, your media platforms, your PR personnel, and so much more. BWF will take pride in assisting innovators, service providers, entrepreneurs, and broadcasters to create exceptional content that can be shared publicly. Perfecting content can be time-consuming and strenuous, but that doesn't make it any less important. Take advantage of this quick and reliable service today. Contact us through WhatsApp, email, or even Facebook to get a free quotation. Together, we'll create endless opportunities with your ideas. The Belize Writing Firm, perfecting content, promoting communication.
This is what we do.
It's more or less 10 grams or less.
It's that special time again. Back so clap.
We are changing the name of this year to Wet T-shirt Competition.
Eating too much salt can also increase your blood pressure, and nobody needs that.
Welcome back to the season finale of Tech Talk, and we're joined by the Public Utilities Commission. To close out tonight's show, we wish to speak a bit about cyber crimes as well as legislation. To do so, we're joined by Justin Barrow from the PUC and Superintendent of Police, Mr. Mario Alcacer. Welcome to Tech Talk.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So earlier we discussed cybersecurity, but now we would like to hear a bit about the distinction between cybersecurity and actual cyber crimes. So would you like to tell us about that?
Sure. Okay. So whereas cybersecurity is inward looking, where you're asking yourself, what do I need to do to protect myself? Or if you're the ISP, you're asking yourself, what do I need to do to protect my customers? Cybercrime is more outward looking.
Okay.
So you're saying, okay, there's some activity happening and we don't like this activity, we think it should be an offense, right? So something needs to be done now to make it a criminal activity to try and deter people from doing it, right?
Okay.
So the simplest way of putting it is the cybercrime involves getting access to something you don't have the authority to access.
Okay.
Right? And using it in a way that the rightful people would not want you to use it, right?
Okay.
Very generally putting it, right? You have some other offenses, things like bullying and these kind of things. But there's really nothing new under the sun. Bullying is not new, extortion is not new, but the cybercrime is, there's now a part of the offense that involves using a computer and or a network, and that's why it's a cybercrime, right? So that's what the cybercrime is.
So that's the element that causes this activity to be a cybercrime.
Right.
Once a computer,
the computer part of
device is involved.
Right, right.
Okay. So unfortunately, something that we have been experiencing in Belize and all over the world is an increase of sexploitation and revenge porn and all that cyberbullying, especially on social media. So Superintendent, I'm interested to know from the police department standpoint, are any of those already illegal? Is there any legislation that speaks to any of those as yet?
Yes. In fact, using the present laws, we'll be able to arrest them and prosecute them using the existing legislation or the criminal code. So some people say, well, no, we don't have cybercrime laws, so we cannot proceed ahead. No, that's not the case. In certain cases, in certain, for example, penetration that they do outside the country, because remember, cybercrime is multi, the boundaries is across borders, right? Yeah. So in that case, we'll not be able to do something about it, right? We will have to sign a liaise. We need to liaise with Interpol and so forth to be able to do that. But if you commit it in Belize and you are within Belize, we'll be able to prosecute you. Yes, indeed, we'll be able to. Of course, having cybercrime will help us. It will
strengthen the laws to make it easier for the police.
Yes.
Okay. So right now, if using myself as an example, if my relationship ends and for some reason they decide to put my private photos on the internet, what can I do about that? Can I report that to the police? And if I do, what can and will the police do about that?
Right. It has happened that revenge porn happens in Belize, right? And sometimes, unfortunately, it comes in the media. It's on the social media, on news and so forth. Yes. What should be done is people should report it to the police. Okay. Because we have taken police reports in that regard, and we have been able to secure computers, and then we have been able to do seizure of the computers and do analysis of that device, and we will be able to charge you for that. Yes.
Okay. And so if using that same example, and also if I'm being extorted through WhatsApp or Facebook, what are things that myself as an individual can do to compile evidence that can be useful to the police?
Preservation of evidence.
Okay.
You need to do that. In certain cases, we have noticed that whenever that happens, the person receiving the WhatsApp message or Facebook Messenger, they see it and they report it to the police. But when they go to report it to the police, that message has already been deleted.
Okay.
So what we need to do is have to educate people to preserve evidence. For example, take a snapshot of that text message. Okay. Come with the device with us as soon as possible after that, right? Because we need to preserve that. After that is reported, then we liaise with Facebook, with others, social media, and then we ask for preservation of that data, right? But then will that person once request court action? Sometimes they don't. They only need talk to that person or have that social media deleted, and that's about it, right? So we need to have people sensitize people of what to do, right? The preservation of digital evidence.
Okay, and so Justin, from a legal standpoint and also an IT standpoint, what are some advices that you can give to viewers as to how they can best protect themselves from cyber crimes?
Okay, so that goes back to the cybersecurity part in the last segment. So for the individual, right, you need to be careful about putting your information out there, who you share your password with, not using the default password when you get certain devices, right? Just being a bit cautious, like you have these phishing things. I saw one the other day. People try to break into your email and then they email you telling you, oh, we're writing from the internet, from the email provider. Please give us your email. You just have to you have to stay ahead of the game. Wherever it's going, you kind of have to know what the people are doing. You just need to be aware, right? From the perspective of the institution, like the ISPs now, right? Then we're talking about putting certain standards in place, right? And that's a process that the PUC has been engaged with them with, and we're trying to we're walking through it together with them, right? And the critical infrastructure part, again, in the last segment, is also important, right? And that probably will involve setting different standards for different sectors of critical infrastructure, right?
Okay.
That's security.
Okay, great.
Right.
And going back to superintendent, when it comes to the evidence, let's say I have a screenshot. Am I required to get perhaps a justice of the peace to certify that my screenshot is a true representation of the message I received on the phone, or is that something that the police department will take into, is that anything the police take into consideration?
In that regard, no, we will take it as in face value because it's your device, okay? You saw what you have password, it's password protected, and that device is yours, so we'll take it as a value. This is what happened. And then, like I said, we've collaborated with Facebook and other social media administrators, right? You know, yes, that will work with us.
Okay, great. And so, Justin, again, from a legal standpoint and just an education standpoint as to giving people awareness as to the best practices, does the PUC interact a lot with the schools in terms of reaching the primary and secondary level students to kind of sensitize them?
Oh, definitely, and that's something that's ongoing, and our public relations department is they're doing that right now, and they're preparing, I think next month, to go to southern Belize to deal with I think it's a fiber within the schools and spreading information about security and all of that. It's an ongoing process for them. Advertising, the PUC has a Facebook page, and they're always putting out tips for people, that kind of thing. It's ongoing though, it has to be ongoing. And also there has to be an onus on the individual, right, to know what's out there, to know what's happening.
Personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility.
And so my final question, the superintendent shared that with existing laws, there are already things that the police can do, but of course we all know that it has to be strengthened. These laws have to be strengthened and specific to cyber crimes.
Exactly.
So is there anything in the pipeline that people can look forward to in terms of anti-cyber crime legislation?
There's definitely something in the pipeline. It was, at first it was a case where you had many different parties working on different things, but now it's all coming together. Thanks to this informal task force. It's proved to be a meeting ground for all these various interests, and so I think you're going to see something very soon.
And then with the task force, you have the benefit of banking on all the individual talents and special.
Exactly.
Excellent.
And I like to mention that the police department are part and parcel of the task force. So we are there making sure that nothing is left out, because my unit, which is the police information and cyber unit.
So we do have a specialized unit in the police
department?
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Well, we started as just an information technology unit, but since November last year, the C has been added to our acronym, which is cyber unit now. And we are the spear point, in leading this, right? So I am training my officers in cyber investigations, preservation of digital evidence, and I foresee that in the next 3-4 years, we'll have a mature unit dealing with that, right? And plus, we'll be training the whole police department, right? In how to preserve digital evidence, how to do first responders to digital crimes, because it's here and cybercrime is going nowhere. Okay, so we need to protect our citizens. We need to protect our children.
That is very, very comforting to hear that we are doing this already. And with that, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for your contributions on our BizTech, especially what you just shared about the special unit in the department, and just when it comes to the legislations in the pipeline. So Thank you both for being on Tech Talk.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
And viewers, we are now at the end of our show for tonight and for season 1 of Tech Talk. I would once again like to thank the entire PUC team for joining us tonight. The chairman, Mr. John Avery, from the National Security Council, Ms. Nicole Haylock. Again, from the PUC, we have Justin and Etienne. From CITO, we have Bruce. And from our very capable police department, we have Superintendent Alcocer. And as I deliver my final wrap-up for season 1 of Tech Talk, maximum thanks are owed to Alana and Corey, our 2 tech correspondents. Corey brought a smooth look and feel to tech news, and Alana thrilled us from day one with her spirit and cute tech tips. Of course, a big thank you is owed to Kimana Barrow, who hosted the first half of Tech Talk, and Uriel Puche, who hosted the second half. You were both great. We also thank our faithful sponsors, the Public Utilities Commission, Digi, and RFG Insurance Company Limited, who made all of this learning and entertainment possible. Viewers, thank you too for tuning in every week and enjoying all the Tech Talk Belize has to offer. You're encouraged to visit Colorblind Multimedia Productions on Facebook and giving the page a like so you can stay up to date with all the new programming that are on the horizon. Until I see you all again, good night and thank you for watching Tech Talk.